Hi there. My name is Jerry Hassan, and I'm the regional manager for a company called LegalShield. And we're very excited to be bringing to all the members of the California Correctional Supervisors organization 2 brand new voluntary benefits that will not only save you tons of money, but eliminate frustration from your lives. Now, we're going to provide these services through 2 apps that you can download to your phone. One is the LegalShield app, and the other is the IDShield app. And because of these apps, just with a tap of the button, you're going to have access to licensed private investigators who will give you assistance if you ever have your identity stolen, as well as not just sole practitioner attorneys, but giant law firms with attorneys in every specialty of the law who will provide their services to you at no additional cost. In other words, you're going to be able to get justice without worrying about getting a big bill. Now let's talk about this for a second. Very often people go, I don't break the law, and I'm not Oprah Winfrey doing million-dollar deals. Why would I need a big law firm on retainer? Well, let's ask a few questions. Have you ever signed a contract or a document? We all have. You bought a car, leased an apartment, maybe you purchased a home. Now, did you have an attorney review that document before you signed it? Actually, you did, just not your attorney. You know, when you buy a car, for instance, the dealership has their law firm prepare that contract to protect them. What's in the fine print that might be hurting you? How many of you have ever been overcharged or treated unfairly? And when it's a big company, you're kind of feeling helpless and out money, right? What are you going to say? I'm never going to shop here again, but you're still out the money. How many of you ever received a traffic ticket? How many of you deserved one on the way to the meeting today? How cool would it be to tap your app and have a major law firm send an attorney to any jurisdiction in the United States to fight that ticket to help keep the points off your record and the fines down? How many of you have ever needed your will prepared or updated? Most people don't even have a will. At $1,000 each, who can afford it these days? How many of you have ever known someone who was a victim of identity theft? Perhaps you've been a victim. And you know what? You can't stop identity theft from happening. It doesn't happen because you lose your wallet. It happens because you trust your private information with these big corporations and they're having their computers breached, and it becomes a nightmare. How many of you have ever been in a situation where simply having the advice of an attorney would have been helpful, but at $500 an hour, you don't even think of picking up the phone and calling an attorney? Well, now you have access to attorneys in every specialty of the law. Most of these services are on an unlimited basis just by tapping your app. For instance, when you need an attorney, you tap the Call Your Law Firm app, and you're going to be connected to the provider law firm in your home state. Here in California, our provider law firm is Parker Stanberry. They've been around since 1927. They have 5 offices throughout the state. They're the law firm for Rite Aid, the City of Orange, LA Dodgers. Allstate Insurance happens to be their second largest client. Allstate pays them about a $20,000 a month retainer. Guess who their largest client is? It's the members of the California Correctional Supervisors organization. See, compared to Allstate's $20,000 a month, LegalShield pays Parker Stanberry, just the California law firm, more than $1.8 million a month. So when you need an attorney to fight a traffic ticket or to prepare your will, or maybe you're being sued, you're not going to be treated like a $1 a day client. You're actually paying less than that. You're going to be treated like a $1.8 million client. So when you need an attorney, you tap the app, you'll be connected to Parker Stanberry here in California, and they're going to assign an attorney in the area of law that you need. Some of you might be thinking, well, I don't need this. I've got a brother-in-law who's an attorney. But is he specialized in every area of the law, and is he licensed in every state? You know, I have 3 doctors in my family, yet I still understand the need for having medical insurance. So when you get connected to your law firm, they're going to have an attorney specialize in the area of the law that you need, call you back within 4 business hours. And when he calls you back, you've got him for as long as you want. You can talk to him all day long. You'll never get a bill. We jokingly say, even if you're just legally lonely, call your law firm. Now I'm going to be going over all the benefits, but this is my favorite. Unlimited letters written on your behalf on an unlimited number of subjects. Keep in mind, when I'm treated unfairly, I'm pretty articulate and I can write a pretty good letter. But when someone gets a letter from me on my Garfield stationery, it doesn't get a lot of attention. But when someone gets a letter from Parker Stanberry, it's got 74 partner names across the top of the letterhead. And whoever gets that letter has no idea that you didn't even have to pay for the stamp that went on the envelope. All of these services I'm describing are covered at no additional copayment. Let me tell you a couple of stories. A few years ago, I was working at my desk and I made a mistake on a sheet of paper, so I reached in the drawer and I took out one of those liquid paper correcting pens. Turned out I had a defective pen, and when I went to use it, it split apart at the seams and the whiteout solution splattered all over my desk, all over my clothes, and all over my brand new 17-inch MacBook Pro computer. Now, I don't know about you, but I love my MacBook. And it was really frustrating for me. Luckily, it didn't hurt the electronics, and I was able to clean it off the keyboard okay. But when I went to wipe it off the screen, it left these smudges on the screen that I could never get off. And at the time, it was brand new, so it left me feeling very irritated and frustrated. Well, I looked at the pen, and in small print, it said, Liquid Paper is a division of the Gillette Company. And I wanted to call them up to see if they could do something about it. Maybe they could have my computer professionally cleaned, or maybe a new screen put on. So I called them up. I called their Consumer Affairs hotline. I told them what happened. They were very understanding, very sympathetic. They go, Mr. Hassan, that's awful. I'm sorry that happened. I can understand your frustration. But I'm sorry to tell you, we sold the liquid paper division to the Rubbermaid company 6 months ago, and you're going to need to call Rubbermaid. They gave me the number for Rubbermaid. I called them up right away. They were equally understanding, equally sympathetic, but then they said, but when you bought the pen, it was manufactured by Gillette. You're going to need to call Gillette. Now, how many times in life do you get the runaround? Everyone's pointing the finger at somebody else. You're not getting satisfaction. I didn't get frustrated. I didn't stomp my feet, didn't threaten anyone. I simply launched my app. My wife Sally calls it the Don't Mess With Me app. And I got connected to a consumer affairs attorney. I consulted with him. I sent him pictures on my computer. I actually sent him the liquid paper pen in a baggie. And he fired off this letter to the Rubbermaid company. And within 3 days, I had a check for $2,200 so I can buy myself a new computer. And I'm going to be honest with you, even today, that computer still works fine. But for $2,200, the smudges on the screen just don't bother me anymore. A few years ago, I had found out we'd overpaid on some property taxes, so I called the County of Los Angeles Tax Collector's Office, told them what happened, they looked it up, they agreed I overpaid, and they sent me a form to file for a refund. Sent in the form, had it notarized and everything, and I waited and waited and waited, and I never got my refund. So I called him up one day, where's my refund? The guy put me on hold to look up my file, came back to the phone a few minutes later, and he said, Mr. Hassan, we got your application for the refund, but you forgot to send us a copy of your driver's license, and now the time for getting your refund has expired. I'm sorry, you're out of luck. Basically, they said, it's your money, we know it's your money, but on a technicality, we're not going to give it to you. Called my law firm, had a real estate attorney fire off this letter to the county, and a few weeks later, I had a check for $3,900. This is money I could never have gotten on my own. These 2 letters alone paid for my LegalShield membership for a lifetime. Now, they're big things, and big things will happen hopefully rarely. But don't little frustrations creep into our lives all the time? A few years ago, we took our car in for a Jiffy Lube change, and Jiffy Lube kind of screwed up the oil change, and it caused about $150 of damage to our car. And I thought that they should pay for it. They didn't agree. Had my law firm send this letter to Jiffy Lube, and a week later I had a check for over $150 sent to me, and I didn't even have to pay for the stamp that went on the envelope. All of these letters were written at no additional cost, and they'll do it on an unlimited number of issues. Now, sometimes things have to happen faster than a letter. They'll also make unlimited phone calls on your behalf. When you and I call a company, we get transferred to customer service, which isn't very service-oriented, right? In fact, even when you say, I want to speak to your manager, you know what they're doing. They're putting you on hold, talking to the buddy sitting next to them and say, will you be the manager today? And you just don't get justice. But when your law firm calls a company, they get transferred to the legal department. And as soon as they see that Parker Stanberry's involved, they think that you've retained this big bad law firm at great expense to get justice, and they don't want to mess with that. They always give you what you couldn't get on your own. They'll also review unlimited numbers of contracts and documents. So when you buy a car, lease an apartment, purchase a home, fax it to your law firm, whatever it is. It might be a child custody agreement, whatever it is, don't sign it until your law firm reviews it for you. They'll counsel you about what's in the fine print, what it means to you, what suggested changes you might want to make. By the way, everything I've described on this page, on this screen, covers pre-existing. You might be thinking, I could have used this a half a dozen times last year alone. Maybe when your landlord refused to refund your security deposit. Keep in mind, when this goes into effect the 1st of next month, you can call your law firm and have as many attorneys working on as many issues that happened in the past to get justice. This is like getting in a car accident today and tomorrow getting car insurance to cover today's accident. How cool is that? In addition, if you are ever named as a defendant in a lawsuit, you'll have a trial attorney defending you in that lawsuit at no cost to you. Now, this is not unlimited, but it's a very healthy schedule of hours, beginning at 60 hours in your first year. But to reward our members for keeping this month-to-month membership, in the second year, that's doubled to 120 hours, and then they keep adding 60 hours every year until after 5 years, it maxes out at 300 hours for the civil trial defense feature. Keep in mind, 300 hours, that's like having a $100,000 legal defense fund sitting in the bank just in case your dog bites someone or you have a business dispute or maybe someone slips on your sidewalk. And let's face it, aren't most lawsuits today nuisance lawsuits? And you know why that is? It's because the other party knows it's going to be cheaper for you to pay them to go away, to settle, than it is to hire an attorney to defend yourself. Now, when you're a LegalShield member, you can say, take your best shot, my legal defense is free. We also protect you if you're ever audited by the IRS. You'll have up to 50 hours of a tax attorney to go on the audit and to defend you if you're ever sued by the IRS. We were once audited for the year 2009. We got a letter saying we owed them an extra $17,000. That was pretty intimidating. We actually had a tax attorney going with us on the audit. He told us what questions to answer, what not to answer, and at the end, when we walked out, we owed zero, and we didn't even have to pay for his parking or his gas. Again, all of these services are with no additional co-payment. Family domestic services. Now, this part doesn't go into effect for 90 days. But once you've been a member for 90 days, if you're going through an uncontested divorce, a separation, annulment, child custody issues, adoption, name change, you'll have an attorney representing you at no cost. And if you should ever get a traffic ticket, you just tap the app, and with it, you take a photograph of the ticket, and even before the officer's driven away, the ticket is automatically transmitted to your law firm, and within 8 business hours, a traffic attorney will call you back. And as long as it's defensible, they'll send an attorney to court in any jurisdiction in the United States to keep the fines down and the points off your record. Now, no one gets the membership for this because no one ever thinks it's going to happen to them. And yet it happens to someone every day somewhere in the United States, and it becomes a living nightmare. Let's say it's raining some night, and the kids in the back seat are arguing, or maybe your friends are horsing around, you're momentarily distracted, and someone darts out between 2 cars wearing dark clothing, and you hit them, and they die. And you're charged with vehicular homicide or manslaughter. Do you realize that your car insurance will do nothing to protect you if you're charged with a crime using your car? Your car insurance is there in case the family sues you civilly. But if the state comes after you for manslaughter or vehicular homicide, a cheap attorney for something that serious is going to want a $20,000 to a $30,000 retainer because it could last forever. And yet, with LegalShield, these are the exclusions. As long as drugs and alcohol weren't involved, you're not driving a stolen car, and you're not driving with a suspended license, your legal defense is free no matter how long it takes. And by the way, every member of your family is covered. So if you drive like a teenager, you have teenage drivers in the family, this becomes a no-brainer. Now, even though this is a month-to-month membership that you can cancel at any time, just by trying it out, your law firm will prepare for you a comprehensive personalized will, a living will, a healthcare power of attorney, a financial power of attorney, a durable power of attorney, and just with the push of the button, you can start filling out a questionnaire to get your will prepared, and within 10 days, your law firm will have it sent to you in the mail. Now, would you agree with me that sometimes bad things will happen to good people? But if you notice, they rarely happen between the hours of 9 to 5. If something really bad happens, it's usually at 2 in the morning or on Christmas Day, where getting an attorney on the phone isn't very likely. Well, if it's an emergency, you press the red button, and that phone number is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, not by a paralegal, not a law clerk, but a seasoned, experienced attorney who will give you assistance right on the spot. Now, everything I've mentioned up until now, everything is with no additional copayment. Like I said, when they fight traffic tickets for you, you don't even have to pay for their gas. When they write letters for you, you don't even have to pay for the stamp that goes on the envelope. But can we cover everything under the sun with no copayment? Of course not. Think of LegalShield as a shield, not a sword. It's not for bad people to do bad things. But let's say you use poor judgment and you get pulled over for driving under the influence and you get a DUI. We don't give you a free attorney for things like that. But anything I haven't mentioned is still covered at a 25% preferred member discount. So as an example, if you rob a bank, rob enough money to pay for an attorney, but even then you'll get a 25% discount. Now, one membership fee covers you, your spouse or domestic partner, and all of your children up to the age of 26, as long as they've never been married and are still in school, or never been married and still living at home, and physically and mentally challenged children are covered for life. Now, you might be thinking, all of these services for my entire family, this must be pretty expensive, especially when most of the services are on an unlimited basis. A cheap attorney these days, if you can find one maybe in Kansas, would be $250 an hour. And yet we're going to provide all of these services to your entire family for $20.95 a month. Again, that's for your entire family, and most of those services are on an unlimited basis. Now, very often when people see that, they go, this sounds too good to be true. How is it that it's so cheap? I mean, are these attorneys any good? Have they passed the bar, the behind bars, or drinking at the bar? Understand that anyone can go on the internet and say anything they want about any company. And yet we have a 5-star rating with Yelp and Facebook and Consumer Affairs, an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, a AAA rating with the United States Chamber of Commerce. People are going online and saying glowing things about LegalShield because when they use this benefit, their law firm is recovering for them far, far more than the $20 a month that's coming out of their paycheck. Now, our second offering is a real identity theft protection program, not to be confused with credit monitoring, which is what those other programs are offering. What we do is we protect you in all areas of identity theft. And let's face it, you can't stop it from happening. With all the data breaches that have occurred, your identity is already out there. In fact, it's a pre-existing condition. See, with the ID Shield, we're going to be able to protect you in all areas of identity theft because we're going to monitor more than the credit bureaus. We're going to monitor your social security number, your date of birth, the DMV records, your passport number, your address at the post office, your email addresses, even social media and black market websites. Let me give you an example. If someone were to change your address at the post office and file a tax return in your name and have your refund sent to them, that's not going to show up at the credit bureaus, is it? Maybe someone's working under your social security number in a 1099 job and not paying taxes, and you have a big IRS liability. Again, your credit report isn't going to show that. But with us, you're going to be alerted, and not only are you going to get real-time push notifications, when you become a victim, you're going to get 24/7 emergency access to a U.S.-based licensed private investigator who will first do proactive searches to see where else your identity has been compromised. Let's face it, if it's been hit in one area, it's probably been hit in other areas. But this is what's really exciting. Then he will go to work on your behalf to fully restore your identity. They'll work as long as it takes, spend whatever it takes to restore your good name to pre-theft status at no additional cost. And they'll even do that for pre-existing identity theft. You know, with all those data breaches, your identity is already out there. Now, when you become a member, it'll become effective the first of next month. You can call your licensed private investigator. He'll do proactive searches and even do full restoration on identity theft issues that occurred before you became a member. And this service is less expensive than all those other services out there. You get complete identity theft protection program for your entire family for $15.95 a month. And if you've never been married and don't have children, you qualify for the individual plan at $8.45 a month. Now, by the way, most people see the need for getting both, the legal with the identity theft. When it's bundled together, it's discounted even more. The legal and the identity theft protection for the entire family is only $33.90 per month. And again, if you've never been married and don't have kids, it's only $29.40 a month. Most of the time when people hear this presentation, they go, $1 a day, this is a no-brainer, sign me up. Even if I only used it once or twice a year, it's going to save me 10 times more than what it's costing me. And yet every once in a while, someone will say, $1 a day, I don't know, I can get a latte at Starbucks for that. Well, we didn't want this to be a financial decision. If you've ever been a AAA member and you've used your membership for discounts, maybe you saved some money when you got a car rental or you rented a hotel room, but that's about it. Well, picture AAA discounts on steroids, because when you're a LegalShield member, you're going to get discounts everywhere you're spending money now. Everything from little things like movie theater tickets all the way up to buying a car. In fact, all your cell providers, your cable TV providers, over 400 vendors. My favorite is Office Depot, where you're going to get an 80% discount on black and white printing and a 50% discount on color printing. Even the Apple Store, you don't get a AAA discount at the Apple Store, but with LegalShield now you do. So this is no longer a financial consideration. Just with member perks, the average family is saving over $50 a month. So when you go to use your legal or identity theft protection, it's really cost you nothing. Now, if you have an interest in signing up, you have your application in front of you. If you turn to the third page at the very top, you just bubble in where you fit in. If you want the legal plan with the family ID Shield protection, it's $33.90 a month. If you want the legal plan with the individual ID Shield, it's $29.40 a month. The legal plan only, no identity theft protection, is $20.95 a month. And if you want just the identity theft protection for the family, it's $15.95 a month. Or if you've never been married and don't have kids, it's only $8.45 a month.